Let's continue our discussion. So, since we already done with the definition of a rational expression, rational equation, and rational functions, and also we already know how to solve for the x given a rational equations. So now let's move to determining the x-intercepts and y-intercepts, the vertical asymptotes, horizontal asymptotes, oblique or slant asymptotes of a rational function. So once we determine those, we're now able to graph a rational functions. Okay, so these are our objectives for this video. Okay, so parts of the graph of a rational function. So we need to determine first the intercepts of a rational function. So we have the x-intercept, or also known as abscissa, of a rational function is a point that lies on the x-axis. To obtain x-intercept, assume that y is equal to 0, then solve for x. Again, for us to get the value of the x-intercept, we're just going to let y is equal to 0, then solve for x. Okay, for the y-intercept or the ordinate of a rational function is obtained that lies on the y-axis. To obtain y-intercept, assume that x is equal to 0, then solve for y. Again, for us to get the y-intercept, let x is equal to 0, then solve for y. Again, if we're going to draw a Cartesian plane, okay, I know that you are already familiar with this one. This is the x-axis or the abscissa. This is the y-axis. This is the origin. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. What are the signs? This is positive, positive, negative, negative, positive. So quadrant 1, we have positive si x, positive si y. Si quadrant 2, negative si x, positive si, let me erase it, negative si x, positive si y. Negative si x, negative si y. Positive si y, negative c, positive c x rather, and negative c y. So that's the fourth quadrant and their signs. Okay, so now let's proceed to asymptotes. What do you mean by the asymptotes? When we say asymptotes of a rational function, it is a line or lines that are approached by the graph of a function. Okay, so when we say asymptote, it is the line that the graph of a function approaches. Okay, but take note, when we say asymptotes, it never touches the never touches. Okay? So, kapag nag-drawing tayo or nag-graph tayo ng function, so those function never touches the asymptotes. Why? Because sila kasi yung limit. Okay? Nasa kanila yung limit class. For example, sa vertical asymptote. Vertical asymptote are vertical lines that are obtained by the x values that will make the function undefined. You can find the vertical asymptote by finding the value in the domain that will cause f of x to be undefined. Okay, so for example, I will just show you the idea of the asymptote. For example, you have f of x is equal to 1 over x minus 2. Okay, so for you to get the vertical asymptote, as said here in the definition, you have to equate the denominator equal to 0. So, since the denominator is x minus 2, equate lang natin siya sa 0, so we have x is equal to 2. So, therefore, our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 2. Okay? So, kapag ginirap natin yan, class, so, ang vertical asymptote is si 2. So, 1, 2. Okay? So, ayan siya. Okay, so ayan si x is equal to 2. Ngayon class, yung graph, for example, your graph is here. It never touches the asymptote because si 2, pag in-input natin siya dito sa function, 1 is equal to 2 is equal, let's substitute the x is equal to 2 to the function. So x is equal to 2, so 2 minus 2, 1 over 0. So magiging undefined. Okay? So ngayon class, para hindi maging undefined yung function natin, we have to exclude yung mga values na magiging undefined sila. Kaya nandiyan si asymptotes. Asymptote. So meaning, hindi siya, yung graph natin ng function, hindi dadaan dun sa vertical at horizontal asymptote ng function na yon. Okay? So this is just a short preview. Later, I will show you on how we're going to get the vertical asymptotes and the horizontal asymptotes and graph them. Okay? So, basta the idea here, pag sinabi nating asymptotes, these are the lines of the graph of the function, approaches, but never touches. Okay, dumadaan lang sila class, but it will never touches the asymptote. Okay, because once na yung graph natin dumaan sa once yung graph natin dumaan sa asymptotes, it will make our graph undefined. Or it will make our function undefined rather. Okay, next. So again, when we're going to get the vertical asymptote, we're just going to equate the denominator equal to 0, then get the value of x, and that's the vertical asymptote. Now, let's proceed to horizontal asymptote of a rational function. By the way, when we say vertical asymptote, these are the x values. Okay, these are the domains. Nandito yung, makikita natin dito class yung restriction. Okay. Next. Horizontal asymptote of a rational function is an output. When we say output, this is the range or the y values. That function approaches an input goes to positive and negative infinity. This horizontal line whose equation is of the form of y is equal to b, in which the curve approaches but does not cross on it. So same with the vertical asymptote. It never touches. It will never cross. Okay? So we have 3 cases for us to identify or to determine the horizontal asymptote. Sa horizontal asymptote class, ang pinaka-importante rito is the degree. Okay? For us to get the horizontal asymptote, we are after with the degree. Okay? On the first condition, if the degree of the numerator is less than to the degree of the denominator, therefore our asymptote is y is equal to 0. Okay? Always to class, ha? If the degree of the numerator is less than to the degree of the denominator, then y is equal to 0. But if the degree of the numerator is equal or same with the degree of the denominator, then y is equal to the leading coefficient. So, pag same na sila ng degree, ang titingnan natin is yung leading coefficient ng variable. Okay? Third, if the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator, then there is no horizontal asymptote. Ngayon, kapag nandito tayo sa condition 3, papasok dyan class si oblique. Okay, papasok dyan si oblique asymptote. Si oblique asymptote class, magkakaroon lang ng oblique asymptote kapag wala si horizontal asymptote. Okay? Sa condition 3, again, kapag ang degree ng numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator, then there is no horizontal asymptote. But we can check if there is an oblique asymptote. Other term for oblique class is slant. Okay? Magkakaroon lang tayo ng oblique asymptote or slant asymptote if the degree of the numerator is greater than to the degree of the denominator. Okay, Okay, let me paraphrase my class. Magkakaroon lang tayo ng oblique if the degree of the numerator is or have okay is more than 1 than the degree of the denominator. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, for example, you have a function x squared plus 1 all over x plus 2. Okay? Here, this function has no horizontal asymptote. First, look at on the first condition. Sabi dyan, our horizontal asymptote will be equal to 0 if the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. So since the degree of the numerator is 2 and the degree of the denominator is 1, so therefore numerator is greater than the denominator. So hindi siya papasok sa 1, hindi siya papasok sa 2. Saan siya papasok, class? Sa number 3, sa condition 3. Ngayon, dahil the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator, therefore, there is no horizontal asymptote. Okay, now, kung wala siyang horizontal asymptote, can we check now if there is an oblique asymptote? Ngayon, sabi natin, pag sinabi nating oblique asymptote, kailangan at least, kailangan exactly. Take note of the word exactly. Kailangan si numerator or yung degree ng numerator has an exactly more than 1 kay degree ng denominator. So since the degree of the numerator here is 2, the degree of the denominator is 1 and 2 is bigger than 1 ng isa. So therefore there is an oblique asymptote. Okay? Pero class, kapag itong 2 na to naging 3, so magiging 3 greater than 1, wala pa rin siyang horizontal asymptote, pero wala siyang oblique asymptote. Why? Because mas malaki si numerator ng 2 na. Okay? Kailangan, ang laki lang ng numerator in terms of degree sa denominator ay exactly 1. Okay? Pag nag-more than 1 na, nag-2, nag-3, nag-4, so on so forth, wala na siyang oblique asymptote. Okay? Again, kapag if the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator, there is no horizontal asymptote. There is no existing horizontal asymptote. Now, we're going to check if there is an oblique asymptote. Ngayon, para malaman natin kung may oblique asymptote, titingin pa rin tayo sa degree but the condition is, kailangan si numerator mas malaki lang siya ng isa kaysa kay denominator. So like here, kapag 2 if the degree of the numerator is 2 and the degree of the denominator is 1, therefore there is an oblique kasi mas mataas ng isa lang sa numerator kay denominator. Pero kapag ang degree ng numerator ay naging 3 at ang degree ng denominator ay naging 1, mas mataas na ng 2 sa numerator kaysa kay denominator. So therefore, wala ng oblique asymptote. Okay? Nakukuha? Okay. Let's apply. So first, we're going to determine the x and y intercept and the asymptotes, the vertical, horizontal, or if there is an oblique. Siyempre, if there is an horizontal asymptote, walang oblique. Okay? Magkakaroon lang tayo ng oblique if there is no horizontal asymptote. Okay? Pero hindi ibig sabihin na walang horizontal, may oblique na. Okay? There are cases na walang horizontal, walang oblique. Okay? Let's have an example. Let's have f of x is equal to 1 all over x minus 3. Okay? The first thing that we're going to do is to solve for the x-intercept. So, x-intercept, for us to get the x-intercept, we're going to let y is equal to 0. So, given the function of f of x is equal to 1 all over x minus 3, we can transform this to y is equal to 1 all over x minus 3. So since our y is 0, we're just going to substitute that. We have 0 is equal to 1 all over x minus 3. Then we can do the cross multiplication. So since this is 0 over 1, cross multiplication yun yung siya class. So 0 times x minus 3, 1 times 1. Okay? Then you simplify. So since this is 0, so if you get the product of this, you will get 0, then 1. So as you can see class, it is 0 is equal to 1. So pag ganyan na lumabas class, nawalan ng variable, so therefore, no x-intercept. Wala siyang x-intercept. Okay, next. Let's have y-intercept. For us to get the y-intercept, let x is equal to 0. So since this function can be transformed into y is equal to 1 all over x minus 3. So sabi dyan, x is equal to 0. So copy si 1, substitute si 0 sa x, we have 0 minus 3. Then simplify. We have 1 all over negative 3. So that is the value of our x-intercept. So we can say, given the x is equal to 0, the value of our y is negative 1/3. So this is the x-intercept. Okay? Next, let's get the vertical asymptote. So the vertical asymptote, sabi dyan, for us to get the vertical asymptote, we have to equate the denominator equal to 0. So since our denominator is x minus 3, equate it into 0, then simplify, get the value of x, we will get 3. So therefore, our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 3. Okay, next. Let's get the horizontal asymptote. So horizontal asymptote, we are after the degrees. Since the degree of the numerator is equal to 0, since it is constant, so therefore, ang degree niya ay 0. The degree of the denominator is 1. Okay? So, ang condition lang naman natin, class, kapag horizontal ang pinag-uusapan in terms of degree, ang first condition natin, if the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, then y is equal to 0. So, horizontal asymptote is equal to 0. Next, our next condition, if the degree of the numerator is equal to the degree of the denominator, then we are going to look for the leading coefficient. Okay? If the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator, therefore there is no horizontal asymptote. Okay? So, since the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, therefore, the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 0. Okay? Kasi ang degree ng numerator natin ay 0, ang degree ng denominator ay 1. So, 0 is less than 1. Okay? Next. So, first, let's get the x-intercept. Let y is equal to 0. So we have the function f of x is equal to 4 all over x squared minus 16. We can rewrite that as y is equal to 4 all over x squared minus 16. Let y is equal to 0. So we will have 4 over x squared minus 16. Then do the cross multiplication. We will get 0 times x squared minus 16 is equal to 1 times 4. So this one is equal to 0. This one is equal to 4. So again, there is no x-intercept. Okay, next. Let's get the y-intercept. So for us to get the y-intercept, again, we're going to let x is equal to 0. Since we have the function f of x is equal to 4 all over x squared minus 16, we can write as y is equal to 4 all over x squared minus 16. So let x is equal to 0. So let's just substitute. So we have squared minus 16. Y is equal to 4 all over negative 16. Since 0 squared is 0, 0 minus 16 is negative 16. Then let's simplify. What is the greatest common factor of 4 and 16? Is 4. So y is equal to 1 all over negative 4. So therefore, our y-intercept, given that x is equal to 0, is negative 1/4. Okay, next, let's get the vertical asymptote. So for us to get the vertical asymptote, we have to equate our denominator, which is x squared minus 16, to 0. Okay. Now, since nakita nyo class na quadratic yan, so meaning there is a factor. So, if you watch the video, the free recorded video about factoring, this is under the difference of two squares. So, since our A there is x and our B is 4, okay, so we can do the difference of two square. Our A is x, our B is 4, then the operation is the operation is subtraction and addition is equal to 0. Okay, so if you are hesitated, again, do the FOIL method and recheck. So let's recheck. Okay, so x minus 4, x plus 4. Do the FOIL method. X times x is x squared, x times 4 is 4x, negative 4 times 4, negative 4 times x rather, we will have negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 4 times 4 is equal to 16. Then you simplify, we have x squared. Cancel this out because it will be equal to 0. Okay, minus 16. Okay. Since negative 4 times positive 4, the product would be negative 16. Okay, so bumalik tayo dito sa original equation. Okay, let's do this. So this, since na-equate siya sa 0, so we have x minus 4 is equal to 0, x plus 4 is equal to 0, x is equal to positive 4, and x is equal to negative 4. Therefore, our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 4, x is equal to negative 4. Okay? When we say vertical asymptote, these are the values of x or the values of the domain that will make our function undefined. Okay, if we are going to input this on our function, given that f of x is equal to 4 all over x squared, where our x, let's try the positive 4. Positive 4 squared minus 16, we will have 4 all over 16 minus 16, we will have 4 all over 0. So, magiging undefined. Okay, kapag si negative 4 naman ang nilagay natin, so 4 all over negative 4 squared minus 16 is equal to 4, 16 minus 16, again 4 all over 0, magiging undefined pa din siya. So that is the use of the vertical asymptote. Okay, now let's proceed to horizontal asymptote. Okay, so since the degree of the numerator of the function is 0, since it is constant, the degree of the denominator is 2. So 0 is less than 2. So meaning, the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 0. Okay, now next. Okay, so we have the third example. We have 3x, the function f of x is equal to 3x minus 6 all over x squared minus 7x plus 10. Now, on our previous example, lahat sila class hindi factorable. Walang factor, walang greatest common factor. Okay? So here, as you can see here, on the third example, our denominator is in the form of trinomial. So the first thing that we are going to do is to simplify this one. So first, on the numerator, what is the greatest common factor of 3 and 6? The greatest common factor is 3. So, ang common factor nila ay 3, therefore, ang maiiwan sa loob ay x minus 2. Again, if you do the distributive property, you will come back on the original expression, which is 3x minus 6. What is the factors of x squared? Minus 7x plus 10. So, we have x. We have 2 times 5. So, since negative yan, negative to class parehas. Okay? Again, if you're hesitating, do the FOIL method and kailangan makakambak kayo dun sa original expression na x squared minus 7x plus 10. So, as you can see there, class, pwede tayong mag-cancel si x minus 2 and x minus 2. Okay? So, ang matitira na lang ay c 3 all over x minus 5. So, dito na tayo magbe-base sa function na yan. Okay. Now, let's do the x-intercept. X-intercept, for us to get the x-intercept, let y is equal to 0. Since our function is y is equal to 3 all over x minus 5, let y is equal to 0. Do the cross multiplication. Dito, class, nagkakataon lang na ang mga nakikita nyong example ay laging there is no x-intercept. Later, meron tayong example na may x-intercept. So, this one is equal to 0, 3. So, therefore, no x-intercept. Okay, let's have the y-intercept. So, given the y-intercept, for us to get the y-intercept, we're going to let x is equal to 0. So, we have y is equal to 3 all over x minus 5. Y is equal to 3. Substitute si 0 kay x, so 0 minus 5. Y is equal to 3 all over negative 5. So, therefore, given that x is equal to 0, our y-intercept is 3 all over negative 5. Okay, next. Let's get the vertical asymptote. Since our denominator is x minus 5 equated into 0, so x is equal to 5. Therefore, our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 5. Okay, next, let's have our horizontal asymptote. Okay, since the degree of the numerator is equal to 0 because that is constant 3, and the degree of the denominator is equal to 1, so 0 is less than 1. Okay, numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, so therefore y is equal to 0. Okay, next. Let's have this one. So first, para mas mapadali ang buhay natin, always do the factoring. Always simplify muna natin yung function. So let's get the factors of the numerator and the denominator. So as you can see on the numerator, the greatest common factor of the 10, 5, and 15 is 5. So, kunin mo natin yung greatest common factor na 5. So, maiiwan si 2x squared minus x minus 3. Okay? So, after that, kunin natin yung factor. So, all over. Tapos, kunin muna natin yung factor ni numerator. So, yung 2x squared minus x minus 3. So, if you are familiar with the AC method, you can do the AC method. Okay, you can recheck this. So, the factor of the 2x squared minus x minus 3 is 2x minus 3 x plus 1. Okay, so let's go here on the denominator. Okay, so the factor of 6x squared minus 17x plus 12 is 2x minus 3, quantity 3x minus 4. Okay, again, if you're hesitating, do the FOIL method to recheck. Okay. So as you can see, class here, pwede kayong mag-cancel this one and this one. So ang matitira na lang dyan ay 5 all over x plus 1 all over 5 times x plus 1 rather all over 3x minus 4. Okay, so that's our function, the simplest form. So now let's solve for the x-intercept. So let's determine the x-intercept by letting y is equal to 0. So since our function is 5 quantity x plus 1 all over 3x minus 4, let y is equal to 0. Do the cross multiplication. Then this one is equal to 0. Simplify this one, the right hand side. Then distribute 5 to the group. You will have 25x plus 5. Okay, and then, so 0 is equal to 25x plus 5. Then 25x, transpose 5, magiging negative 5. Divide both sides by 25. You will get x is equal to negative 1/5. Okay, let's recheck. Okay, let's recheck our solution. So we substitute y to 0, then 5x plus 1 all over 3x minus 1. You do the cross multiplication. Okay. Then you distribute this. Okay, so 5 times 5 is 25. Tama naman. 25x. Then 5 times 1 is 5. Correct. Then transpose natin ng negative 5. Okay, so therefore, okay, our x-intercept is negative 1/5 given that y is equal to 0. Okay, now let's get the y-intercept. So y-intercept by letting x is equal to 0. So given that y is equal to 5, quantity x plus 1 all over 3x minus 4. So y, substitute lang natin si 0 sa variable x. So 0 plus 1 all over 3, quantity 0 minus 4. So y is equal to, this one is equal to 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 3 times 0 is 0. Minus 4 is negative 4. Okay? So our y-intercept, given that x is equal to 0, is negative 5 over 4. Okay. Okay, by the way, class, let me check this one. Okay, we have 2x minus 3. I just want to make sure. So 2x times 3x, we will have 6x squared. 2x minus 4, we will have negative 8x. Negative 3 times 3x, we will have negative 9x. Then negative 3 times negative 4, you will have positive 12. Then 6x squared. Negative 8 minus 9, the answer is negative 17x plus 12. Okay, so tama naman tayo ng factor. Okay. So now, next, let's have the horizontal asymptote. Vertical asymptote rather. So since our denominator is 3x minus 4, equate it to 0. So we have 3x is equal to positive 4 all over 3, so that we can get the value of x, which is 4 over 3. So the vertical asymptote is x is equal to 4/3. Okay? Next, let's have the horizontal asymptote. So for the horizontal asymptote, let's take a look on the degree of the numerator and the degree of the denominator. So since the highest degree in the numerator is 1 and the highest degree in the denominator is 1. So, kung napapansin nyo class, yung degree ng numerator is equal sa degree ng denominator. So, ano yung mga degree nila? 1 is equal to 1. So, same. So, pag ganun daw na equal yan, titingin tayo sa leading coefficient. Okay? Ang leading coefficient ng numerator ay 1. Ang leading coefficient ng denominator ay 3. So, therefore, our horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 1/3. Okay? Basta pag equal ang degree ng numerator at ng denominator, titingnan lang natin yung leading coefficient, then that's it. That's the horizontal asymptote. Ngayon, if ever na masisimplify nyo siya, then simplify. Since 1/3 na siya, hindi na natin siya masisimplify. It is already in the simplest form of fraction. So, therefore, that's the horizontal asymptote. Okay, let's have f of x is equal to x squared plus 5x plus 16 plus 6 rather all over x plus 3. Okay, so again, let us see kung may factor si numerator so that we can cancel that on the denominator. Okay, so what are the factor of the numerator? So the factor are, since it is 6 and the middle term is 5, so we have 3 times 2. So add, then x. So our denominator is x plus 3. Kung makakita nyo class, we can cancel that out. Okay, so since it's equal to 1 na, okay, so it is equal to x plus 2. So now, let's get our x-intercept. So for us again, to get the x-intercept, let y is equal to 0. So since our function is f of x is equal to x plus 2, y can transform that to y is equal to x plus 2. Equate that, substitute 0 to y. We will have x plus 2. Then x is equal to negative 2. So therefore, given that the value of y is 0, our x-intercept is negative 2. Okay, next, let's get the y-intercept. Y-intercept, let x is equal to 0. So we have the function f of x is equal to x plus 2 can be written as y is equal to x plus 2. Then let x is equal to 0. Therefore, our y-intercept is 2. So given that the value of x is 0, our y value is 2. Okay, now let's get the vertical asymptote. For the vertical asymptote, so diba pag vertical asymptote, we are looking for the expression in the denominator. Since the denominator of this is 1, so therefore, there is no vertical asymptote. Okay? Next, let's have horizontal asymptote. Okay? So, since pag horizontal asymptote, we're looking for the degrees of the numerator and denominator. So, the degree of the numerator is equal to 1. And the degree of the denominator, since 1 yan class, dahil over 1 yan, ang denominator niyan ay 1. So, therefore, that's constant. Ang degree ng denominator ay 0. So, kung makikita nyo dito class, the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator at exactly 1. So, we can say that, therefore, there is no horizontal asymptote. Kasi magkakaroon lang siya ng asymptote kapag less than ang degree ng numerator kasi kay denominator at equal yung degree nilang dalawa. So, since greater than si numerator kay denominator, so therefore, there is no horizontal asymptote. Okay, now, kung walang horizontal asymptote, we can check if there is an oblique asymptote. Okay? So, since at least 1 ang nilaki ni numerator kaysa kay denominator, so therefore, there exists an oblique or slant asymptote. Okay, so for us to get the oblique asymptote, we're going to divide the function. So we need to get the simplest form. So since this function is already in the simplest form, f of x is equal to x plus 2. So therefore, kasi pag sinabi kasi nating oblique class, it is already in the form of equation. Okay? So, since yung function natin is in the simplest form na, so therefore, our answer for the oblique or asymptote is y is equal to x plus 2. So, that is our oblique asymptote. Now, kung hindi nyo to sinimplify, itong function na to, kung hindi nyo siya sinimplify, ang gagawin nyo class, para makuha nyo yung oblique, kung hindi nyo siya sinimplify, nag-back to 0 kayo, hindi nyo siya sinimplify. Tapos kukunin nyo lang kung, dahil nga nakita nyo, x squared to class, tapos 1. Mas mataas yung numerator ng isa kesa kay denominator. So, wala sang horizontal. So, therefore, it is merong oblique kasi at least exactly 1 yung itinaas ng numerator kay denominator. So, ang gagawin nyo class, i-divide nyo. Okay? So, i-divide nyo. Use the long method. So, let me do this here. So, we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. Dapat mapatunayan natin ang lalabas dyan ay this one. Okay, so we have x plus 3. So, x divided by x squared, you will have x. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is positive 3x. And then, distribute the negative sign sa loob. So, you will have negative, negative. So, 5x minus 3x, you will have 2x. Then, bring down si positive 6. 2x divided by x, you will have 2. So, plus 2. So, 2 times x, you will have 2x. 2 times 3, we will have positive 6. Then, distribute nyo si negative sign sa loob ng group. So, you will get negative, negative. So, 2x minus 2x is 0. 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, again, kapag oblique class, wala tayong pakialam sa remainder. Basta pag hindi na siya kaya i-divide, then let it be. So, may remainder na siya. So, pag oblique class, we are after with the quotient. Okay, since our quotient is x plus 2, so therefore, our oblique is y is equal to x plus 2. Nakukuha po. So, that is an oblique asymptote. Okay, now let's proceed to graphing a rational function. So, now, we already know on how we are going to get the x-intercepts, y-intercepts, the vertical asymptotes, and the horizontal asymptotes because those are important for us to plot or sketch our graph of the rational function. So, what are the steps? First, you have to find the x and y intercepts if there is an exist. Kasi like for example, kanina, wala tayong nakukuhang x-intercept. So, hindi palaging wala at hindi naman palaging meron. Okay? Kaya nakalagay dyan class if there is exist. So find the vertical asymptote if there is an exist. Find the horizontal asymptote if there is an exist. Then once you find these three, meron man o walang nakita, then we have to sketch the graph by just putting first the asymptote, plotting the asymptote first, then the intercepts, then sketch the graph. Okay, now let me give you an example on how we are going to sketch our on how we're going to graph our rational function. Okay, so given that f of x is equal to x minus 2 all over 2x minus 3. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is to get the x-intercept. So x-intercept, for us to get that, again, let y is equal to 0. So f of x is equal to x minus 2 all over 2x minus 3. We can write that as y is equal to x minus 2 all over 2x minus 3. Again, you cannot simplify this because there is no common factor of the numerator and the denominator. Okay? So, diretsuhin na natin. So, we have y is equal to we have 0 is equal to x minus 2 all over 2x minus 3. Then, do the cross multiplication. We have 0 times 2x minus 3 is equal to 1 times x minus 2. This one is equal to 0, and this one is equal to x minus 2. Then, transpose si negative 2 magiging positive 2. So therefore, our x-intercept given that y is equal to 0 is 2. Okay? Now, let's get the y-intercept. So y-intercept, for us to get that, we're going to let x is equal to 0. Since we have the function f of x is equal to x minus 2 all over 2x minus 3, we can rewrite that as y is equal to x minus 2 all over 2x minus 3. So y is equal to, substitute mo lang si 0 sa x, we have 0 minus 2 all over 2 quantity 0 minus 3. Y is equal to negative 2 all over, since ito ay equal sa 0, so negative 3. Okay? So y is equal to positive 2/3. Okay, so therefore, given that the x is equal to 0, our y-intercept is 2/3. Okay, now let's get the vertical asymptote. So again, the vertical asymptote we're looking for, we're going to equate rather the denominator equal to 0. So 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. 2x is equal to 3. Divide both sides by 2. You will have x is equal to 3 halves. Okay, para mabilis tayong mag-plot mamaya class, si 3 halves, convert nyo na sa decimal. So 3 halves is also equal to 1.5. Okay, so that is our vertical asymptote. So the vertical asymptote is x is equal to 3 halves or equivalent to 1.5 in decimal. Okay, now let's get the horizontal asymptote. Okay, so since the degree of the numerator is 1 and the degree of the denominator, by the way class, pag horizontal asymptote, titingnan natin yung highest degree ng dalawa. Kung ano yung highest degree na same sila. Okay? So, the highest degree of the denominator is 1. So, the degree of the numerator is equal to the degree of the denominator. So, therefore, we are going after with the leading coefficient of it. What is the leading coefficient of the numerator? 1. What is the leading coefficient of the denominator? 2. So, 1 over 2 is already in the simplest form. So, therefore, our horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 1/2. Or, in equivalent to decimal, it is 0.5. Okay, now, let's do the plotting. Okay, so let me draw first our Cartesian. Okay. So, nasa left side, lahat ng values natin. Ang x-intercept natin ay 2, 0. Tama ba? Okay. Ang y-intercept natin ay 0 and 2/3. Or equal yung 2/3 na yan kay 0.67. Okay. Let me change the color, class. Okay. So, x-intercept is, again, 2, 0. Our y-intercept is 0, 2/3. Our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 3/2 or 1.5 in decimal. Our horizontal asymptote is equal to y is equal to 1/2 or 0.5. Yung 2/3 equivalent niyan sa decimal is 0.67. Mas madali kasi class kapag naka-decimal. Okay, mas mabilis natin makikita. Okay, so plot na tayo hanggang 2. Kasi 2 yung highest value natin dyan. Okay, so this is the x. Okay, now, first thing that we're going to plot is the vertical asymptote. Plot natin si vertical asymptote. Ang sabi natin vertical asymptote is equal to 3/2, which is 1.5. So, let's assume this is the 1.5. Okay, kasi this is 1 and this is 2. Okay, let me change the color first. So, si 1.5 nandito siya. Ito si 1, ito si 2. Okay, now let's plot the vertical asymptote. So, ayan si 3/2, si 1.5. Do the broken lines. So, x is equal to 3/2. Okay, now, we're done with this one. Next, horizontal asymptote. Alam natin ang horizontal asymptote natin ay y is equal to 1/2. So, nandito yan. Ito si 1, si 2. Let me label it first. So, nandito siya si 1/2 or yung 0.5. Now, let's have to plot horizontal asymptote. So, dahil y siya class, pag ganito po. Horizontal siya ha. So, y is equal to 1/2. So, we're done with the horizontal asymptote. Now, let's put the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay, so for the x-intercept, we have 2, 0. 2, 0. So, ito yung class. 2, 0. Okay. Palitan ko lang yung color ng pen para makita siya. Ayan, ito. Ayan, si 2, 0. 2, 0. Okay? So, meaning, kung nakikita nyo, meron na siyang vertical asymptote and horizontal asymptote. So, ibig sabihin, si x-intercept, hindi siya pwedeng mag-cross ng asymptote. So, ibig sabihin ng drawing niyan class is pa ganyan. Okay? It will never touch the asymptotes. Okay, tandaan na, it will never touch the asymptotes. Okay, since ang asymptotes natin, ang vertical asymptote natin is 3/2, so hindi siya dyan didikit. It never touches. Ang horizontal asymptote naman natin is 1/2, so hindi pa rin siya dyan didikit class. Okay, now we're done with the x-intercept. Now let's have the y-intercept. Okay, so our y-intercept is positive 0, 0, and 2/3. Our 2/3 is 0.67. Okay, so lagpas siya kasi 'di ba itong horizontal asymptote natin is 0.5, 1/2, so 2/3. So, assume natin nandito si 2/3. Konti lang, malapit lang siya konti. Kasi 0.67 siya eh. Kung ito yung 1/2, so 0.67. So, assume natin nandito siya. Ayan si 0 and 2/3. Okay, so meaning, hindi pa rin siya didikit sa asymptotes. Okay, so therefore, the graph of function of f of x is equal to x squared minus 2 all over 2x minus 3 is this. Okay, so first, again, i-graph nyo lang muna yung mga asymptotes, then x-intercept, then y-intercept. Okay, let's have another example. So, given that one, the f of x is equal to 5x plus 20, okay, all over x squared plus x minus 12. So, unang gagawin natin, class, is factor natin. So, we have 5. The greatest common factor of 5 and 20 is 5. So, common factor is 5x plus 4. Factor natin si denominator. We have x 4 times 3. So, positive and negative. Okay? Then, as you can see, we can cancel this one. At matitira si 5 all over x minus 3. Then, now we can get the x-intercept. Let y is equal to 0. Since we have y is equal to 5 all over x minus 3, 0, 5 over x minus 3, do the cross multiplication. This is over 1. We have 0 times x minus 3 all over 1 times 5. So this is 0 is equal to 5. Therefore, there is no x-intercept. No x-intercept form siya, class. Okay, next, let's get the y-intercept. So for us to get the y-intercept, let x is equal to 0. So we have y is equal to 5 all over x minus 3, 0. We have y is equal to 5 all over 0 minus 3. Y is equal to 5 all over negative 3. So therefore, our y-intercept, given that x is equal to 0, we have negative 5/3. Okay? So by the way, ano ba si 5/3 in decimal? Equivalent to decimal. We have 1.6666, okay, or 1.67. Okay, now let's have the vertical asymptote. Again, pag vertical asymptote, equate lang natin si denominator sa 0. Then x is equal to 3. So our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 3. Now let's have the horizontal asymptote. Okay, our horizontal asymptote, titingin lang tayo ulit again sa degree ng numerator at denominator. Since the degree of the numerator is equal to 0, dahil constant yan, the degree of the denominator is equal to 1 and 0 is less than 1. Therefore, our horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 0. Okay, now let's graph. First, list down muna natin lahat nung ipa-plot natin. So, wala tayong x-intercept. So, no x-intercept. No x-intercept. Our y-intercept is kinumpleto ko na. Wait lang. Huwag natin masyadong mahaba. Okay. Our y-intercept is 0, negative 5/3, or equivalent yan class kay 1.6666. Our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 3. Our horizontal asymptote, y is equal to 0. Okay, let's draw the Cartesian. Okay, let's have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is our x, our y. Okay, let's plot the vertical asymptote first. Our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 3. Okay, let's put label pa muna class. We have -1. Okay, now we're done with the vertical asymptote. Now let's proceed to to the horizontal asymptote. Okay, since ang horizontal asymptote natin ay y is equal to 0, so nandito siya. Okay, so y is equal to 0. And now let's input the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is 0 and -5/3. So, yung 5/3 is equivalent to 1.6. So, assume natin nandito siya class. 1.6. Okay? So, ito siya. Ito yung point niya. Ayan si 0 and -1.6666. So, kung napapansin nyo, ito yung red na broken line is the horizontal at yung blue na broken line is the vertical. So, meaning, hindi siya dyan magkocross. Okay, so ang graph nyo pa ganyan. Ngayon, ang problema na lang natin si x-intercept. So, alam natin na ang vertical asymptote natin ay 3. So, let x, para makakuha tayo ng value ng x. So, since ang vertical asymptote nyo ay 3, so, let x is equal to 4. Kasi alam natin, hindi siya magkocross eh. Okay? So, let x is equal to 4. So, given our function is equal to 5 all over x minus 3. So y is equal to 5 all over x minus 3. Y is equal to 5 all over, our x is 4 minus 3. 5 all over 1 over 5. Okay, okay, wrong. Tama ba? So, let x is equal to 4, 5. So, we have 5. So, given that 4, the value of x is 4, so our y is 5. So, points to class. Pwede naman to class para mas madali tayo, magbigay na lang tayo ng value ni x, which is 4. So, 4. Okay, so we have 4, tapos 5. Okay, so ito siya class. So, meaning, ang graph niya pa ganito po. Okay. So, kapag binigay nyo naman ang value ng 5, kapag x is equal to 5, ang makukuha nyong value ng y ay 2.5. So, kung 5 yung isa, ito nyo lang, pakita ko lang. Kung 2.5 si y, so nandito siya. Tapos si 5. Okay, so ganun pa rin class, madadaanan pa rin. So ang graph pa rin natin ay nandito pa din. So hindi pa rin siya lalabas class. Okay? Okay, so that's it for the number 2. So kapag walang x-intercept, magbigay na lang kayo ng value. Okay? So pag nagbigay kayo ng value, you have to make sure na yung bibigay nyong value, yung hindi magkocross ng vertical asymptote tsaka ng horizontal asymptote kasi magka-undefined siya. Okay, let's have the last one. Okay, so given that x squared minus 3x plus 2 all over x squared minus 5x plus 6. So first thing na gagawin natin is to factor this out. Baka kasi may masimplify tayo, class. So we have x minus 2, x minus 1, x minus 3, and x minus 2. So you do the checking, do the FOIL method, class, kung tama ba yung factor natin. So kung makikita nyo, makakancel natin to, class. Ang maiiwan natin ay si x minus 1 all over x minus 3. Okay? So let's get the x-intercept. So given that y is equal to x minus 1 all over x minus 3. So we let y is equal to 0. So 0 is equal to x minus 1 all over x minus 3. Do the cross multiplication. We have 0 times x minus 3 is equal to 1 minus x minus 1. Okay, 1 times x minus 1 rather. Okay, this one is equal to 0. We have x minus 1. Transpose nyo lang si 1. So our x-intercept is 1 given that y, okay, that y is equal to 0. Okay, now next, let's get the y-intercept by letting x is equal to 0. So y is equal to x minus 1 all over x minus 3. Y is equal to 0 minus 1, 0 minus 3. Y is equal to negative 1 all over negative 3. Y is equal to 1/3. So our y-intercept is 0, 1, and 1/3. Okay, now let's get the vertical asymptote. Our vertical asymptote is, we're looking for the denominator. So x minus 3 is equal to 0, x is equal to 3. So this is our vertical asymptote. Now for the horizontal asymptote, what is the degree of the numerator? 1. What is the degree of the denominator? 1. So, the degree of the numerator and the degree of the denominator are equal. Therefore, titingin tayo sa leading coefficient. Ang leading coefficient ni numerator ay 1. Ang leading coefficient ni denominator ay 1. So, therefore, our y-intercept is 1. Okay? So, si 1/3 class, equivalent yan kay 0.33333. So, that is a repeating and non-terminating decimal. Okay. Now, let's plot the graph. So, first, list down muna natin lahat ng value natin. We have the x-intercept, 1, 0. We have the y-intercept, 0, 1/3, which is equivalent to 0.333. Our vertical asymptote, x is equal to 3. Hindi palaging x equal to 3 ang class, nagkakataon lang. Okay? Sa mga nabigay ko yung example, nagkakataon lang na ang vertical palagi ay 3. Okay. The horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 1. Okay, now let's graph. Let's draw the Cartesian plane. Okay. So, we have, dahil ang pinakamataas natin dyan ay 3. So gawa tayo kahit hanggang 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 4. Do not forget the arrowhead, class, ha? It means continuous. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, Negative 4 and negative 5. Okay, let's plot the vertical asymptote. So 3. So x is equal to 3. So let's have the horizontal asymptote. Y is equal to 1. Okay, so we're done with this one, done with this one. Now next, let's have the x-intercept. So our x-intercept is 1 and 0. 1 and 0. Okay. Next. So meaning, ang drawing niya class pa ganyan. Okay. Just bear with my drawing class now. Okay, we're done with the x-intercept. Let's have y-intercept. 0 and 1/3. Okay. So, si 0, 1/3, siguro class, kasi nag-estimate lang naman tayo ng graph, no? Okay. Dahil nasa same quadrant kasi si x-intercept tsaka si y-intercept. Wait lang, let me redraw it again. Ito si 1, 0. Tapos si y-intercept, sabi dyan, 0 and 1/3. So, yung 0 and 1/3, nandito siya class. So, 0.333. So, nandito siya. Okay, ito si 0 and 1/3. Okay, so madadaanan. Ayan. Okay. Ang mahalaga class, kahit dalawang points meron tayo or isang point, para lang mapakita lang natin yung itsura ng graph. Hindi mahalaga na bawat detailed tayo masyado sa pointing. Okay lang kahit dalawa or isa. Basta makita lang natin yung sketch ba ng graph. Okay? So now, kung napapansin nyo, wala dun sa isa. So, isip tayo ng value. Ang gawin natin class, let x is equal to, since 3 yung vertical, gawin natin 4 ulit. O gusto nyo gawin tayo 5. Let x is equal to 5. So, given the function that we have, f of x is equal to x minus 1 all over x minus 3. So, substitute lang natin siya, class. Okay. So, we have 0 minus, but the 0, it's supposed to be 5. Given that x is equal to 5, what is the value of y? So, 5 minus 1, 5 minus 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. 5 minus 3 is 2. We will have 2. So, 5, 2 yung points na nakuha natin. 5, 2. So, plot lang natin siya. Dapat magkaiba ng color. Okay. 5. Okay. So, si 5, tapos 2. Ito yung point. Ito si 5, 2. Hindi pa dumaan class na wait. Let me redraw it. Ayan. Basta hindi siya dadaan ng asymptotes. Okay, so nakita nyo class. So that is the graph of f of x is equal to x minus 1, x minus 3. Okay. So ganito class. If you want to recheck your graph, for example, nag-activity na kayo. If you want to recheck your graph, go here in this website, Desmos graph calculator. Okay. So, para makita niyo yung graph yung graph ng function niyo kung tama ba o hindi. But here, class, kapag nag-input kayo ng function dyan, okay, pag nag-input ng function, you have to make sure na ang i-input nyo is yung original. Okay? Huwag nyo i-input to. Okay? Babalik kayo dun sa original pag i-input nyo yung gusto nyo makita yung graph ng rational function nyo. Basta pag pupunta kayo ng Desmos graph calculator, sa online to class, basta ang gagawin nyo, ang i-input yung function is yung original. Okay? God bless and thank you everyone.